Good. Hello, everybody. Sorry about the stumbling in my voice there. I will start all over. Hello, everybody. There, a little better. Hope your day is going well so far, thus far. Another beautiful day out here in the desert. Cool 70 degrees this morning on my ride. Hey, Leo. Funny weather this year out here in the desert. Cool most of the spring. Snow on the mountains around us late May. 118 one day and 90 the next. Funny weather. But it's beautiful. Can't complain. So I'm going to continue with my book on chapter 1, part 3. I talked the first couple sessions. I talked about dealing with sexual abuse in Western cultures. Today I'm going to talk about the man rules. Part of this, the first part of it, comes directly from Dan Griffin. He put some excerpts in my book, so I want to give him credit for some of this. A lot of it's mine as well. So the man rules of society have been the downfall of mankind, in my opinion. Not of mankind, but of men. And in fact, when it comes to sexual abuse, the man rules can make the pain of sexual abuse even harder to bear. Because the man rules of society, just some of the most common man rules that we hear about. And actually, I was talking about these even before I read Dan's book, but there's a couple of them. One is don't be weak. So men have no right to be weak. And for a sexual abuse survivor, when we talk about being sexually abused, it shows a sign of weakness in us to society. And the reality is the sexual abuse has nothing to do with us. So it's not weakness on our part. It's fear on our part that keeps us silent. And don't show your emotions. And don't ask for help. And don't cry. And don't care about relationships. Don't show your emotions. And I work with a lot of people, and if we're all born in the image of God, which I believe we are, then emotions and feelings are given to us by God the same way they're given to women. And my opinion is there's some physiological differences between a man and a woman, but if we're born in the image of God, our emotions and feelings are identical. We cry because our heart hurts. We cry because our stepfather or mother or somebody beat us, and it hurts physically. It hurts. Pain hurts. There's no denying it. So there's nothing wrong with crying. I'm dealing with people now that I don't want to cry. Well, as I'm talking to them, they're crying. They go, "I hate crying." I go, "No, you gotta cry. It's okay to cry. I'm giving you permission to cry. The problem is that you've been holding on to your tears for years and years and years. So it feels uncomfortable. And eventually the floodgates will open as they did for me when I was in treatment, and I couldn't stop crying for an hour. So those feelings that you want to cry are real. The emotions are real. And yeah, well, I will say this, that in society we have to be careful. We can't be sitting in a board meeting. You go, "Oh, man, you guys hurt my feelings." And there's limitations to everything, and there's boundaries to everything. So I'm not saying you just can show your emotions wherever you darn well please. I mean, there is boundaries to that. So, and the other one is don't ask for help. And I'll ask all you men this: how's that working for you? I can hear a lot of you right now saying, "Oh, just fine." Well, if I was sitting with you and working with you, we do a little exploration to find out really how good that is working for you. Because I know for me, it didn't work real well. But I learned not to ask for help because people, when I did, I got told, "Figure it out yourself. We're not going to help you," or I'd be called an idiot or something stupid like that. And it's like tasks that were nearly impossible for one man to do. I was told to figure it out, and after 3 hours of trying to figure it out, you'd think that the people you ask for help would help you, but no, they just laugh at you and run off and go sit in a bar and drink beer all day while you're out there struggling. So, um, all these rules are ridiculous, and don't care about relationships. You know, again, if you want to go on the biblical part about that, what do you mean don't care about relationships? I mean, if you're in a relationship with a woman, with a spouse, there's clear instructions in the Bible on how we are supposed to treat our spouse. And no, women are not our slaves. And it doesn't say that in the Bible. That's a big misinterpretation. There's some scripture prior to that will tell you that if you want your wife to support you, then you're to treat your wife as Christ treated the church, and Christ died for the church. So what are you dying to daily to help your wife fall in love with you? So, don't care about relationships. It's foolish. Relationships is all we got in life. I know, I got tired of doing life on my own, and I used and abused a lot of relationships over my time. And I haven't done that for the last 14 years. Relationships are important, and we do have to care about a relationship. So don't be weak. Don't show your emotions. Don't ask for help. Don't cry. Don't care about your relationships. Figure it out on your own. How many of you heard "Don't cry"? If you want something, I'll give you something to cry about. If you want to cry, I mean, as a little kid, that was just fear put into me. Don't cry. If you're going to cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Why would you want to scare a child with those kind of words? It's ridiculous. So, those are just a few of them. I'm sure there's a lot more out there that people could come up with. So, and I'm sure I'd ask, do these sound familiar to you? I'm sure many of them do. Like I say, I was believing these rules. As a matter of fact, I was even talking about them before I read Dan's work in recovery circles with a few of my friends. And then when I read Dan's work, he wrote a whole book. I believe it was Learning to Love and Be Loved by Dan Griffin. It's a great book that I read this in. So that his book actually became one of my tools in my toolkit as a vital component, because he gets real into the cultural stereotypes throughout the book of what men are supposed to be, and he goes deep in a lot of different areas that on everyday commonplace things he talks about. It just opens up the door for a whole nother way to look at the way men are treated. So the rules, besides what I just revealed to you, they're basically unwritten set of rules on how to be a man. And what they do is they tell us what we can do and we can't do. You can do this as a man, but don't do that as a man. And you just think about some of the circles you run in. I'm sure you can relate to, well, you know what, Randy, what are you worried about? Just it happened. She's probably this, she's probably that, or he's this, or he's that. Let's just go have a beer or a drink and we'll forget about our problems. People don't want to talk about that. Well, the rules tell us what we can, what men can do and what men can't do. And I'm sure you can find areas in your life to relate to on that. They're unwritten, yet they're very real. And they guide our lives from an early age. It actually starts when we're very young. They start guiding our lives. They tell us how to be boys and men. We follow these rules to let the world know that we are real boys and real men. I mean, it starts on the playground in school. It starts on the football field, playing flag football in your neighborhood. It starts, playing army with your buddies down the street. It starts when we're really young kids. These man rules come into effect, and they start, a lot of them from our fathers, who they're just doing learned behavior. They're just passing it down. What they learned, they're passing it down to you. So it's taught at a very, very young age, and it's, like I say, it starts in the preschool area. It starts at school, junior high school, college. It goes all the way into your manhood. And depending on who you're around, as an adult, I know for me, the people that I looked up to were all successful people in construction we had good businesses, but that's all they were successful in, and there was a specific set of rules that we played by, and they weren't what I know now. They were pretty brutal. You had to toughen up to work in construction. You had to have thick skin. You had to have big shoulders, and if you didn't, you'd be laughed right off a job. So the crowd you run around in will also define rules for you. For many of us, adhering to some of the unspoken rules, it actually saved us from more pain and humiliation in the short run. In the short run, it saved us because we learn not to show. We learn not to show any sign of weakness or physical emotion, because if we did that, we'd get teased. So in the beginning, in the short run, like it says, a short run, maybe it is a long run. I don't know. It worked, and it's like I tell everybody I work with. Everything we've done in life up to this point has worked for us. It's gotten us to where we're at today. It's made us the people that we are today. But for some reason, it might have quit working. And now that it's quit working, we need to figure out a new way to live and proceed in life. More healthy, more lucrative way, emotional and physically and spiritually, to live. Survivors like myself, I felt broken and less than, and most of us made a conscious choice to follow the rules to the letter and to act as though nothing bothered us. It never bothered us. My famous saying was, "I'm a contractor, I got no feelings." That's what I would tell people. I'm a contractor, I got no feelings. But behind that statement was a broken guy that had a lot of feelings that didn't know how to express them. But it was a conscious choice. I had to follow these rules because of the shame that I was carrying around. And carrying that shame around forever and ever, and adhering to those man rules for 30 some years, it only made me a violent person in the end. And it was that, it didn't matter what it cost me. As long as I appeared strong and stoic on the outside, and being terrified and broken on the inside, that was all that matters, that I appeared strong and stoic on the outside. That's all people care about anyways. A lot of in this world, they don't care about how you're feeling on the inside. They just care about the outside. Do you fit their idea of what it is to be a man? Do you fit their stereotype? Again, who are you hanging around with? Do you fall into their category of wealth and business, so on and so forth? They don't care what's on the inside. Just what are you on the outside? And I don't want to discard women, because women are just as freaked out. Well, I'll step back. Women are just as freaked out, actually, when men show their emotions. Oftentimes women want us to show emotions. They want to know how we feel. And so a lot of times when we start expressing those feelings, and we start opening up to the women, they don't know how to handle it. They just don't know how to handle it. And they'll get all freaked out and go, whoa, I know, you need to go find somebody else to talk to. You're weak. I can't believe you've been carrying this around. What do you mean you can't handle this stuff? Because it's outside of their belief of the way men are supposed to act. Okay. But then again, the husband's sitting on the couch and doesn't want to say nothing. Wife might ask, "How you doing today? How was your day?" And the husband just says, "It's just fine. Can you please get me a beer and just leave me alone?" And that's a consistent pattern of the husband, and the wife is just trying to interact with the husband. Sooner or later, and after a while, the wife just begins to wonder what's wrong with her. What did I do wrong? What's he mad at me for? How come he won't talk to me? Okay, so there's a lot of dynamics that play into these man rules. It destroys a lot of relationships. Okay. And like I started to say, don't get me wrong. I mean, women, they have their own set of rules too. And and that they got to deal with. And it's hard, just as hard for them to deal with their set of rules. But again, what we're talking about here is my book is focused around mainly men. There's a lot of stuff in there about women, but I'm focusing right now on the man rules. So there is some rules for women as well, and they have just a harder time adhering to those as well. Am I good? Do I look good enough? Is my waist thin enough? Is my hair pretty? Is it the right color? Is my tan enough? Am I thin enough? And, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And show up and just put a smile on your face and don't cause no rift no matter what. I mean, it's ridiculous. So there's a lot of rules that they got to adhere to as well that makes it very difficult for them. Very difficult to them. When I realized that I was living by some ridiculous, made-up, unfair rules, and that I could change them, my whole life turned around. My whole life turned around. What I did is I had to come up with my own rules that made sense to me, rules that were compassionate, and that I made a better, stronger, a more loving man. Okay, rules that were compassionate and that made me a better, stronger, more loving man, father, and husband. My own rules. And here's what those rules were. It's not merely acceptable to feel weak and vulnerable. It's essential. It is essential to feel weak and vulnerable, because that's how I grow and become better and stronger. Reaching out for help not only saves me time and money, it saves the people around me too. Now, these are my rules that I live by. Any child, male or female, can be sexually abused and needs special help to heal from the trauma. That's very important. We talk about, again, there's a lot about sexual abuse going on right now between the Baptist church, the sex trade. There's a lot of it going on there, but you don't hear anybody talking about the boys that are sexually abused. It's all the girls, and it infuriates me. 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 4 boys are sexually abused. This whole thing is bigger than me, and it's very frustrating. Sexual abuse is not the child's fault, ever. It is never a child's fault, period. End of conversation. And anybody that thinks it is is just as guilty as a perpetrator of inflicting child abuse on that child. It is not their fault. A young child cannot give consent. There is no such thing as consensual sex with a minor. Just because men have an erection doesn't mean that they want to be touched or violated. Okay, that's another one of those societal rules that people believe that man got an erection, he must have liked it. I talked about this last week. No, it's not that he liked it. He's physiologically, God created us in a way that when we're touched certain ways, there's nothing we can do about it. We're going to get excited, period. Doesn't, we don't know we're being abused. It's just, it's hard. So it doesn't mean that, that they wanted it. So what are some of the rules that have governed your life? I'll ask you this now. What are some of the rules that have governed your life? I'm going to kind of write these down. I'll post them later. What are some of the rules that have governed your life? Do they seem fair? Have you had an overall positive or negative impact on your life? Have they had an overall positive or negative impact on your life? What would you change about those rules? If you could write your own set of rules for yourself and your children, what would they be? Okay. Well, I will. I think I'll post those right now, real quickly. There they are. There they are. Okay. There's some questions that you can answer for yourself. One last thing, and I'll end with this before I talk about just a couple of things that are going on. Called Into Action. Actually, this is from Dan Griffin. It's Into Action. Take some time right now to write as many rules about being a man as you can think of. Think about the rules you learned from your parents, your caregivers, school, neighborhood, community, the media, and workplace. If you are having trouble, think of them in the following areas: self, relationships, activities, power, sexuality, and spirituality. I'm also going to post that for you all to read and give you something to think about. So yeah, I would take the time if you would, and just if you feel like it, and look at those two areas and answer the questions the best you can. So next week we will close chapter 1 of the book Healing the Wounded Child Within. My book is available on audiobook right now. I've been really busy. I'm gonna pull. I think I get 50 codes to give out a free Audible book. I just have not had the time to pull them up and send them out to who I want to send them out to. The only requirement I have for a free audiobook is that you write a review. That's all that I would ask, is write a review in turn for the free audiobook. If you do that, I greatly appreciate it. All my books are all available on Amazon, the paperback, Kindle, now Audible. My devotional, my 30-day devotional to wholeness is available on Amazon, and the 7-day challenge is available on Amazon as well. There's my books. Visit my website, courageoushealers.org. We are trying to raise money to move on to the next phase of the foundation. So you can go on there and donate. If you just go to courageoushealers.org, on the top of the very first page, you'll see a donate button. Click on it. It's real simple. You can donate right there. We appreciate anything, $5, $10, it doesn't matter. $5 or $5 million, we'll take it all. If we just get a lot of people to donate $5 to $10, that would be an extremely helpful thing. So courageoushealers.org to find out about more about my life coaching, changeyourlifestorynow.com. Life coaching is a fabulous way to break free of some bondage that you might be living in, some uncertainty in your life, whether you're fighting addiction, whether you've been abused, whether you're having relationship problems. Coaching is a fabulous way. It's the only main difference between coaching and therapy is that we don't diagnose people with mental illnesses. We therapists deal with mental illnesses, and we deal with mental issues, and we deal with human issues in all levels. My wife and I we counsel couples as well. So there's a lot that we do. So visit those websites and check us out. If you're interested in any of the services, just fill out the contact form, and I will get back to you, usually within an hour or two of receiving the email. I'll get back to you. So thank you all for joining me today. Remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does, but more importantly, God does. Everybody have a blessed day, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week. Bye.